You're locked into the Womanure Crush Wednesday podcast, the only weekly podcast inspiring, educating, motivating 1 million women entrepreneurs one Wednesday at a time. The WCW podcast is fueled by the purpose formula: passion plus purpose plus profit equals success. And here are your hosts, Jen and Modi.
It's Tip Tuesday, crushes. Today we'll be jotting down a few tips to get you along the way to successful freedom. Now, you've ever tried getting some focus work done and right in the middle of getting it done, or trying to get it done, or attempting to get it done, you get distracted by a phone call from this person or a text message, and then you go from here to there, and you really just don't go back to that task, maybe not until the next day, and you really start beating yourself up about it. Well, today we're here to give you a few tips on how to cut out the distraction, and get things done like a boss mom. Gadgets, be it your phone, your computer, your pager, whatever it is, your tablet. Maybe you want to put it on silent, maybe you want to put it on vibrate, maybe you want to tell Siri or whomever, if you have an Android, maybe you want to tell your director of phones to just give you a few, maybe 20 good minutes or 30 good minutes so you can have some solid time on getting some of your goals done, some of your work done.
Turning off the gadgets is definitely a good thing or silencing it, or putting it away. Maybe you can put it in a drawer. Maybe you can out of sight, out of mind with it, so that it's not distracting you. I have some more tips into gadgets later on, so I don't want to spoil those. But as far as out of sight, out of mind when it comes to any gadgets, we don't even have to be talking about phones, but any gadgets, I think that is excellent when you're trying to get away from distractions. So for tip number 2, work in small increments. So I call these power hours. Small increments small focused working times is better than, saying, I'm going to just work today on my business or my goals for 5 straight hours. Because let's be real, you're not going to work on your business for 5 continuous hours. So carving out smaller increments, whether that's 30 minutes for you or an hour for you, in which you are completely focused on the task at hand or whatever goals that you have, I think that will definitely help you to lessen, I guess, your distractions, because you'll be focused on, you'll know that, hey, I only have 30 minutes. I only have an hour. So you'll be able to bang out whatever you're doing. And even to take it a step further, I don't know if you guys remember those small little turn dial timers that we used to use back in elementary school, where, the teacher would be like, oh, I have, you might have 5 minutes to do this math problem. It was like a little, do you know what I'm talking about? That little timer that it was like a desktop timer. Mm-hmm. And it had a dial on it, you used to turn it. So even if you want to set one of those type of timers for yourself for 15 minutes, half an hour, where you could be just working on one task or whatever it is that you're trying to do that, so it can keep you away from those distractions for that block of time.
I agree. I totally agree with that. Tip number 3 I have to clear the clutter. If you are wherever you're working, I personally believe that it should be totally not untidy at all. I think that it needs to be as tidy as possible when you are trying to concentrate on one thing that you're working on. If you do have office space, you try to make that space as tidy as possible before you start on anything that you're working on. Because I do not believe that you can work on red paper and have blue and yellow and green paper all around at the same time. It's just impossible to not be distracted by all the other color papers that you're working on. So I personally believe that having a tidy area wherever it is that you're working on at that moment, I think that's one of the great tips for not being so distracted with other things.
Yeah, and I can't work in an untidy, cluttered, messy space anyway.
Right.
So to me, you have all these random papers all over the place, and eventually your mind or your eye will start catching those other notes, those other papers that you have all over your desk or wherever it is that you're working, and then you're going to get distracted. So try to, like Madee said, try to keep that area, or even if right before you start working, you can just quickly straighten it up.
Right.
Keeping that area free of clutter is definitely clutch in not being distracted. So tip number 4, set intentional boundaries in defined work hours. So what I mean by this is this episode is specifically not only for moms, but we really want to speak to our moms out there. So boundaries, that would be like right now, both of our families know that we're doing this podcast. So if your spouse is home with you at the time, intentional boundaries would mean, hey, from 10 to 11, I'm going to be doing this blog. I'm going to be doing this podcast. I'm going to be doing this YouTube video. I'm going to be talking to a client. So that means that the rest of the family or friends or in-laws or whomever is not supposed to be interrupting you at that time, because you've already set up those intentional boundaries. And we know that things happen, but from our experience, the more you set up those boundaries and the more you try to reinforce them, the more everyone else will start to get to know, like, hey, this is mom's time to be doing whatever it is that she has set out to do. And with defined work hours is the same thing. If you have set up, my work time where I'm working on my business or hobby, whatever it is that you do, if you're working on that between the hours of 3 and 6, let people know. Set up those, that's like your office hours. Set up those times where, hey, this is it. I'm done. I'm not doing anything else besides for this time. Whatever that time may be for you and your family. It might be before your family gets up. It might be after your family goes to bed. It doesn't have to be in the middle of the day, whatever works for your schedule. But make sure you define those boundaries and that time for yourself to work on work.
I agree. I totally agree with that, Jen. And I also believe, tip number 5, I believe. Tip number 5, I would say, is to take breaks. Take breaks when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you are not concentrating on that anymore. It's time to take a break. If, like Jen said, if you are working on it gung-ho, I'm working on it 30 minutes, and then that 25th minute, a text message may come through. And your phone is on silent, but you see the thing, you just see your phone just, blinging, and you answer the phone. Guess what? You just did 25 minutes of straight work. You didn't do the whole 30 minutes, but you did 25 minutes. That means that's all you probably needed for that moment. And it's okay to take breaks. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to take a 30-minute break. It's okay to take an hour break. It's okay to take a day break. It's okay to take a week break. But sometimes when you're feeling overwhelmed with whatever it is that you're working on, maybe you're working on it too hard for that moment, you need to take a break. And it's okay to take a break.
Or maybe you need to regroup or get a fresh perspective or a fresh eye or mind to the situation. So I definitely agree with the taking a break part after you've already, don't just take breaks now. After you've already cranked out something, it's definitely okay. Give yourself a break. You're entitled to a break.
I agree. And what I'm saying is, give yourself a break and make sure that, you prioritize your to-do list, basically. So before you give yourself that break, if there's something that you need to do by 2, you need to put that on the top of your list for the day. If you know that you're not going to probably be able to concentrate by 2 p.m., you need to be able to do that at 9 o'clock in the morning and get it done and out the way. Not wait until 12 o'clock and then say, I'm kind of tired, but yet it's due at 2. So yes, it's imperative to give yourself that break. It's imperative to know when it's time to give yourself that break. Let's talk about, I'm not even trying to get into politics, but look at Hillary Clinton. She's going through pneumonia. She's going through pneumonia. She halfway passed out coming out of one of these buildings yesterday, because she's not taking a break. She's dehydrated. She needs rest. And the doctor is telling her, look, you need to go ahead and just lay down for some time. Mm-hmm. You need to get yourself together. Have several seats. Have some seats and get something to drink. Get something to drink in your system because, sister, you going down. And not even in a special way, but in a serious no, that's not special at all. But what I'm saying is you really need to get yourself together. And you should know come on, Hillary. You should know yourself by now.
Know yourself and know when you're going too hard. Seriously.
Yeah, seriously.
So I believe this is 6.
Yes.
Right? Tip number 6.
We're throwing them gems tonight. I said we're throwing them gems tonight.
Oh, yes. All day gems on this distractions and tips for our mom bosses out there.
Yes.
So turn off social media notifications on your phone when this is in regards to your working hours that we just described, or your small increment time when you're going to be working on your goals or whatever it is on your to-do list that you have to do. Turn off the social media notifications. Now, I have this Facebook groups app on my phone. I'm not a big Facebook person, but everybody has that social media that distracts them. And whether that's Facebook, whether that's Twitter, Pinterest, everyone has a social media
something.
Everyone that is on social media has a social media distraction. So for Facebook, I don't really go to Facebook that much, but I find that I usually go on Facebook for the groups. But then before you even get to the groups, you may see somebody that, you haven't seen, some cousin, some friend, whatever. So that some picture. So you end up looking on the timeline and getting lost. So why don't we download the Facebook group app to replace Facebook? If you're a person who is easily distracted by Facebook, the Facebook group app is going to be great for you, because that app, all you're going to see is groups notifications. And you can easily turn them on and off. The groups is just going to be, or whatever groups you belong to and what's being said in those groups. Mostly for us, we mostly belong to either inspirational business or motivational groups. So we have that. So for the Facebook group app, it helps to increase productivity and limit the distractions. Also, another way to turn off notifications without having to go into each app. Some people like myself, they don't feel like going into all the apps. You could turn your phone on airplane mode and you won't get any calls, texts, notifications, nothing while you're trying to work. That's the easier way for me. That's a hack. That's a crush tip for you. Hashtag crush tip, crush hack. Turn your phone on airplane mode to limit your distractions from social media while trying to work.
Tip number 7, I believe we're on, is take one task at a time, just like one day at a time. You cannot do everything. I don't know why people think they can do everything, but we really can't. You can think you can do everything, but you really can't do everything. So you need to take everything one day and one step at a time. It may take you 2 months to get it prepared, but you'd rather it prepared the right way than for it to be prepared the wrong way, and you still have to go back, and it's still going to take you an additional 2 months to get it launched, or whatever it is, the project that you're working on. You might as well do it right the first time, meaning take one task at a time.
Definitely. I think it was, I don't know where it was said somewhere that once you go past 3 tasks in one day, you're setting yourself up for being unproductive, because you're not really realistically get things done past that point. So number 8, create priority rules and stick to them. So we all know our husbands and our kids, those are, or if there's a guy out there listening to us, his wife, whomever. The family is very important, right? So that's going to be at the top of your priority list. However, I think that if you intentionally set out your priorities, not even just like for the week, but what is my priorities in life? If you set out those priorities and stick to them, it'll help you really stop being distracted. Because if you could put those up in your office, in your kitchen, in your work environment, if in your car, on your screensaver, whatever, to keep yourself focused to those top 5 priorities that and I'm pretty sure you're not going to be like, Instagram is my top priority. So once you set those priority rules, if you stick to them and have a visual where you can remind yourself what's important really to be doing in this moment, in this day, in this week, it'll help you to not get so distracted, because you have that reminder, hey, I need to be meal prepping. I need to be reading to my kids. I need to be knocking out this blog post. I need to be creating more content, or whatever is in your priority list. But if you're able to see them, remind yourself, you can stick to them. Tip number 9, be present and do everything with 100% commitment. So this is something that I tried to work on last week also. Being present in the moment and being present in the day. I know that we can get caught up in like, next, you can get caught up in your future goals. You can get caught up on things and you might even start looking backward and getting distracted by things that you messed up on or failed or whatever. But if you can be present in the moment and then 100% committed to what you're doing now, it'll really help you to not be so distracted and all over the place. I've read this quote that said, multitasking isn't effective and doesn't lead to success or excellence. I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but the more you multitask, the more it's like juggling. One ball is going to fall out of the air. Something is going to drop. You're going to mess up at something, because we're really not set up to be doing 5 different things at once and then expect to be doing 5 different things at once. It's impossible.
I agree.
So, yeah, just try to be more present. Even if if you're listening to this and it's nighttime, if you could just wake up tomorrow with the intention of being present and being committed to what you're doing, moment by moment, task by task, I think it'll really help in helping you to not be distracted.
You are not the sum of your circumstances. You are the sum of the decisions you've made. And I take that as, things happen all the time. Like Jen mentioned before, things happen all the time. You may have 5 goals set up and you can only get to 3 at a time, 3 during that day. That's the decision that you've made. You've made that decision to get those 3 things done. At least those 3 things done. And to me, that's A-okay. Just like Jen said, if you're sitting out here trying to do 5 things at one time, it's probably not going to work. You're going to need more hands. You're going to need more eyes. You're going to need more, more, and you cannot be in 2 places at one time. It's just impossible for you to be cut in half. So, you take things in stride and you take one day at a time and you keep it moving. Do not beat yourself up. If you cannot make something, like if you have a few goals and you can't make it at that time, don't beat yourself up. Just keep trying, keep pushing.
Definitely agree. Even if you listen to this and you say to yourself, you haven't done any of these things, I think there's no time like the present to start, and there's no fault in messing up. I mean, if you are distracted and you do get distracted, there's so many ways, like listening to this episode or things that you found online that can help you to just get back on track. That's the whole point, as Medice said, is to just keep going, get back on track.
Don't give up.
And go forward. Don't give up.
Don't give up. Because even a no can distract you.
Oh, yeah. Maybe talk about that.
You could really be looking for something and you're thinking, yeah, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. And then you get that no and you feel bummed about it. And it will distract you. And it will stop you from doing what you really are aiming to do. Don't let it distract you. Don't let that no stop you from getting that yes, that eventual yes. You will get a yes if you keep going. If you keep trying, if you keep striving, you're going to eventually get a yes. It may not even be from the person you may be looking for. It may even be greater than that person or that thing. You just never know. But one thing for sure is...
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say that... The yes might not even come in the form that you thought it was going to come in. Like that yes that you was hoping for might be so small. It might be, you might have been hoping for to hear a response back from somebody, and then you didn't hear from them. But then you got connected with somebody else, and then it was an even bigger promotion, an even bigger deal, an even bigger project or whatever. And you weren't even thinking that way, but then you kept going. The yes turned into something even more than you could even think or imagine. So I've been there where the yes, I've been waiting for the yes, got distracted by the no, almost stopped or even half stopped. And so, no, that's not the way to go. Definitely keep pushing and the yes will be there.
Amen. So we are wrapping up our Tip Tuesday today. Distractions. You see that? Distractions. So we're wrapping up our Tip Tuesday today. We hope that you enjoy our show.
Thanks for tuning in to the Womanore Crush Wednesday podcast. Be sure to tune in next week for Girl Talk with Jen and Modi, along with some of your favorite business crushes, more exclusive business tips, insights, creative business ideas, and doable action steps to improve your business and help you create your phenomenal life. Sharing is caring. Don't forget to tell a friend to subscribe and stay tuned for a weekly dose of the WCW podcast. Crushing hard on the Womanore and want to hear her story on the show? Know a creative woman-owned business that's killing it? Let us know at womanorecrushwednesday@gmail.com.